Greetings everyone and welcome to GameFace episode 470 TLDR. All the fun and information from GameFace in 1/3 of the time. We have a doozy of an episode for you guys this week. We're going to review Resident Evil Requiem. We got the first trailer for Pokemon Winds and Waves. We're going to talk about Bungie's new extraction shooter marathon and so much more. It's an awesome show. Let's get to it. And just like every episode of GameFace, I am joined by the incomparable Matt Keil. What's up, Matt? How are you?
You're lucky there's only one.
I am lucky.
Yeah.
There can only be one Matt Keil.
Yeah, I cut all their heads off years ago.
all your rivals.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to GameFace, people. We have a great show for you guys today.
Just to double check, should both audio level things be bouncing over there?
No, just one.
Just one? Okay. Just checking.
Yeah. So last week, we had horrible audio throughout the entirety of GameFace. This board that we use for our audio, we also use for Pactor Factor. And I had gone and shot, and a bunch of stuff had gotten messed up in transit. And so our audio is just horrible. I literally spent 4 hours last Tuesday, after I had worked all day, to fix the audio in the show. So since it's just Matt and I here, it's kind of hard for us to monitor the audio. So for future reference, if you're ever watching the show and you hear the audio going pop, pop, pop when Matt and I talk, just put something in the chat and let us know, because we can fix it. Fixing it mid-show saves me tons of time. So any amount of time that I can save having to go back and do that would be awesome.
And
so
if we don't see it, just keep saying it.
Say it again until
and
one of
over
us
and
say,
over, until one of us notices.
Yeah. I had a nightmare night last Tuesday.
I try to keep an eye on it, but I don't see everything.
Well, then what made it worse is I then have to cut the show down for GameFace TLDR. So I had to go through all the audio again for TLDR. So anyway, just a little hint there. But welcome to GameFace. This is the flagship show of SIFTD at SIFTD.net.
Ashes in the Hourglass, I didn't score anything with Pocopia because it's my first alternate.
Yeah, I thought it was on his team too, actually.
No, I picked it because I only know that's coming out, right?
Holy moly.
Now I've got my fingers crossed that Blood of Dawnwalker or Orbitals doesn't come
delayed.
out this year. Those are the only two that might drop out.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I thought that too. I thought Pokemon Pocopia was on Matt's team. As it turns out, it's an alternate. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that all your games come out because, wow, Pokemon Pocopia, the highest scoring Pokemon game ever.
Well, it's down to 88 now.
Still.
It's
Yeah, I
still
think it's still
high.
the highest, though.
Is it?
Yeah, because Pokemon games don't score
Never
that
had a
high.
Pokemon game in like the 90s?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that is not in our show this week. It'll be in next week's show. However, in this week's show, we got a plenty. We're going to review Resident Evil Requiem. Right now, it may be the highest reviewed Resident Evil game ever.
It is the highest user-reviewed game ever.
Yeah. We're going to review it
period.
right here on GameFace. It's going to be the first topic in today's show.
I was hoping it would be a little higher.
Yeah, because that is on
that
Matt's
is
team.
on my team.
It's still really good,
88's really good,
Yeah.
but like I wish the audience score was...
Yeah.
Because that's like a 94 or something.
Wow. That's surprising to me. But anyway, we're going to review that first in the show today. Then we're going to talk about another Pokemon game that was just announced, Pokemon Winds and Waves, the brand new mainline Pokemon game, Gen 10. They unveiled that this week. We're going to talk about Bungie's Marathon. There was a big open beta for that this weekend that I played a bunch. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about...
Big is a strong word.
It was big.
The player drop-off was
It
prodigious.
was, yeah. But I think
A lot of people were interested to begin with, but wow.
I played it. We're going to talk about it. Was it worth the drop-off? We'll see. We're also going to get to Sony bailing on PC games, which I was like, what? Like, the whole world's going crazy right now, people. It's LS Cream, the fine cream liqueur crafted by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. Inspired by the Haitian drink Cré Mas, LS Cream delivers an award-winning experience with every single pour. One sip and you'll see why. It's a party favorite. The silky blend of fresh cream and premium neutral grain spirits mixes great with everything. I dare you to put a shot in your coffee. I've been drinking it for years and still, I find new combinations that taste incredible. LS Cream is the kind of drink that keeps surprising you thanks to its notes of vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, and coconut. Take it to any gathering and watch it steal the spotlight. We've never seen anyone resist. Ready to join the fan club? Head to creamls.com/sifted for recipes, retailers, and online orders. That's creamls.com/sifted. Now, it's time for our review of Resident Evil Requiem.
Reviews got out. Unfortunately, the embargo did not work out last week. It was very hard for me to sit here and not talk about Resident Evil Requiem because the embargo was like the next day. But I couldn't talk about it. But here I am now, and I can. First things first, I did finish the game. Matt, how far along are you inside Resident Evil Requiem?
I think like 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
I didn't have a lot of time to play it this weekend.
That's good, though, because if you don't know
Enough
already...
to have played both of the characters and see how they work.
Right. If you're not aware already, and you probably are, but maybe you aren't, Resident Evil Requiem actually features 2 protagonists. There's Leon, who we all love and know. He's the resident action-based butt kicker in Resident Evil.
By far the most popular protagonist in the series history, according to that little, voting...
It's not even close.
Thing
People love the Leon.
Everyone loves the Leon.
Yep. And then the other character you play as is FBI agent Grace Ashcroft, whose mother is a part of Resident Evil lore. And vaguely, not for long.
Playable character in the Outbreak games,
right.
If anyone remembers those, the PS2 multiplayer games. And
yep.
I think she's mentioned in some notes in 7 or something, because she was an investigative reporter, looking into stuff,
right?
And so and all of a sudden, I guess she had a kid at some
And
point.
eventually, you find out too, and I don't think you've got to that point of the game yet. You do find out that her mom was using her reporting skills in different ways that I won't spoil here, but that's a part of the plot. Eventually, is that the fact that she was a reporter. But anyway, you play as these 2 different characters, and they're entirely different in how they play. So Leon is Leon. He has a bunch of changes we'll talk about when we start talking about the gameplay as far as his abilities and things like that. But then Grace is sort of... Capcom has described her as the throwback to classic survival horror, but really, she's kind of like the stealth character in the game. She does get guns.
She's the traditional Resident Evil character.
Yeah.
Her gameplay is basically Resident Evil 1 through 3, and Leon is 4 and I guess 6, but let's not bring that into anything.
Well, with the exception of the fact that she never does get the full arsenal. She only ever gets 2 pistols in this game.
But she
still is more stealth.
She's the one running around the zombies instead of killing them because you don't have enough ammo. She's the one slotting arcane things into arcane slots to open a door.
She does most of the puzzling stuff.
She does a couple times. She does mention how do people get in here normally?
Yeah,
it's just that's a fine question, but we're not going to actually address that.
Well, actually, we are going to address some of this stuff in the plot in this game. That's what we're going to first start discussing is the plot. So basically, what happens is dead bodies have started appearing in Raccoon City, and they have this weird black bruising all over them.
Well, they're not in Raccoon City. They're just people who survived the Raccoon City.
They're actually in the Midwest.
Nuking. Yeah.
They're in the Midwest, and there is this hotel that they found a dead body at. As luck would have it, Grace's mother was murdered in that hotel 8 years earlier. Her boss at the FBI knows this and sends Grace there to investigate these bodies, knowing that her mother was killed in the hotel.
Sends her alone. No partner. The police don't escort her in, even though the place looks like this.
Yeah.
And there's a crazy person in there.
And you can see that the tapes there, the police have been in there.
Yeah, they clearly have been in there. And there's sure, let's send the lone FBI agent in there who clearly is not equipped to do that. It doesn't make any sense, but it's just,
this is going to be a recurring theme here, the doesn't make any sense thing, because the plot in this game is like Swiss frickin' cheese.
Here's your Resident Evil 4 original version reference.
I took the time to stop and watch them below for the B-roll, just for people who would know.
To me, that's just Resident Evil never made sense. And horror generally doesn't make sense in terms of what people do and why they do it.
I think the plot in Village and Biohazard were better than the plot in this.
I don't know if I fully agree. I think it works. I think they work better, or they don't let you think about it.
Here's the biggest plot hole of them all.
I don't know that you think about it as much because 7 and 8 are self-contained in their own little crazy world, and this one, like 2, and to some degree 5, have contact with the quote-unquote real world.
Yeah, and that kind of ruins this game. And the plot
you remember, when you contrast these things with normal people in a normal city or things like that, you kind of wind up accidentally realizing how crazy all the main characters in this series must be compared to normal life.
Well, they don't do that here. It's set in a normal society, and that does cause problems. But here's one of the biggest plot holes in the entire frickin' game. So early on, they do this flashback that shows kind of what happened. Well, it does show what happened to Grace's mom. In this scene, she watches her mom hide this book behind this painting.
Well, it's just a packet. It's just that doesn't even have anything particularly valuable.
Well, she asked her, "What is it?" She's like, don't forget about this. Like, you'll see.
Yeah, remember I put that there.
Yeah, and then she doesn't remember she puts it there until she goes back 8 years later by herself, and all she's like, "Oh yeah, that's right, Mom. Put this." It's like, what the f?
Well, trauma can do that.
Oh my god, dude, I've had trauma, man. You don't forget crap like that. Like, this plot is just littered with stupid plot holes and things that make no sense whatsoever. There's another scene later on where the bad guy in this is literally carrying Grace down the sidewalk in public, with tons of people walking around. He shoots them with like the virus or whatever, but still nobody calls the police. In the beginning, the cops are there.
Clearly, the police wouldn't help very much.
Well, in the beginning, the cops and the authorities are there, and then they disappear. I mean, I'm a horror fan, and I know most stories and horror stuff suck, but this is a whole other level, man. Like, these are just no-brainer, dumbass things. Like, it feels like they chopped stuff out of the game, and we're like, well, there's no way we can go back and like.
I mean, that's possible. It does feel like Leon and Grace are from different games, and not just in the sense that they play different.
I agree.
It feels like. My guess is that the original game that we were hearing leaks about that was like the open world Raccoon City thing was Leon's game, and they pasted in Grace's game to sort of give it, I don't know, to give it more of an old school survival horror feel, or to like cover up the fact that they didn't think what Leon's game was enough to really sustain a whole game, which I can see. He's like a big badass, and he stands up here, and then like he just gets grabbed. Or he just gets hit with something. Like, he has no plan. He just has learned to not react to anything. And he comes off looking kind of almost as dumb as Grace in that regard sometimes.
Well, he gets but abducted by the bad guy. Yeah. The bad guy doesn't take any of his weapons off of him. He barely tapes him to a chair.
Well, that's classic supervillain. Like, you want the hero to escape, because then he's going to do the thing you want him to do, or he thinks he's got to control.
Well, the plot is that Gideon and... there's another guy that he's working with who looks a whole lot like Wesker, but he's actually not Wesker. His name's like Zeno or some crap. But he has the same abilities as Wesker.
I'm surprised that is he like a clone, or
I think he is. Yeah.
Like, yes.
I just don't understand why they just don't call him Wesker. Like,
well, he's got his own identities, his own man. Clones are like identical twins. They're not the same person.
Well, they're working together on this new sort of variant of the T virus. And here's another thing. In the early going, in this first area, in the hotel that she goes to, the zombies remember their prior lives. They're walking around doing their chores. The one zombie says gastrointestinal tract.
Right.
Like, the zombies are speaking in complete sentences.
Yeah, the surgeon is
at like a 10th grade level.
Into very detailed gallbladder surgery ideas.
So the zombies in this are kind of smart and are kind of human-like or whatever. However, after you leave that first area, that whole concept is gone. The zombies after that are not remembering their lives before. They're not like on a construction site like hammering stuff and like.
I took that to be like. I took that to be like whatever the virus they're working on here, like directly with Gideon, like has more of a slower effect, or like it does that, whereas like the zombies you run into out in the field are more like they're just the standard Resident Evil T virus,
I guess,
zombies or something like that.
Maybe. Here's the thing though, it's not really about that variant of the T virus. Both Gideon and Zeno are really concerned about this virus called the Elpis, and it was supposed to be, was it Spencer was the guy that started all the viruses that developed them for Umbrella,
the original Umbrella, I think that's his name.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be
the old guy. Yeah.
It was supposed to be his final work, his master class virus or whatever. And so
for real this time.
This
is his final. This is what he was really doing.
Yeah. And they, for whatever reason, believe that Grace is this supernatural being, and it's going to take her to unlock the virus and figure out what the virus is and how to use it. And so they have been unable to figure out who Grace is all this time. They've been creating clones of her in secret, and trying to raise these clones up to become that person that can unlock this new virus.
Which is why, I guess, Victor keeps calling her the chosen one.
Right, and that's why they think that she's the one who can unlock this new Elpis bat thing, and that they can take over the world using this new virus.
To a whole like, hey, Mom, what did you do?
Right. There's tons of plot holes in this. I think the setup for the game is okay.
Why was there a chainsaw in the hospital?
No, again. I mean, you can just, every scene you can pick apart. Yeah. And the other thing,
renovation, I guess.
They make the chainsaw out to be a big part of it. It's not.
Yeah, I'm like, I figured the chainsaw was going to be like a bigger part of things than it was, and
you end up using it like 3 times the whole game. It's not as big an element.
I do love that it runs. It can do crazy physics stuff. Like you knock one of the zombies that holds it down, and they get dragged around by it.
Yeah,
on the floor. Like, it's a lot of cool stuff it's doing.
It is a really cool thing. I wish they used it more. Yeah. But they only use it a few times throughout the entire. Maybe that's the right way to look at it.
Probably, like, you make it special, but I would love like a New Game Plus version where it's just like lots of chainsaws. New Game Plus. Like,
yeah.
Everyone has a chain. I mean, that's a mod, probably. I'm sure we're going to do that.
So Grace gets mixed up in all this, and basically Leon is just there to try to save Grace. He's like, she's been kidnapped. He goes after her, and it just starts this whole whirlwind.
Well, he's like investigating the same dead bodies, basically, and kind of stumbles across. I mean, but he literally he's looking for Victor, and he literally sees him walk out onto the street with Grace.
He's looking for Grace and Gideon.
What the?
And there they are. Right, I mean,
he thinks it's pretty stupid, too.
Yeah, he does, to be fair. Yeah. Now, the design of this game, as we mentioned, you jump back and forth from playing Grace and Leon. In the early part of the game, it feels like it's Grace's game with Leon sprinkled in. But they take turns, they'll alternate, and sometimes they'll connect and be in the same scenes together. They'll be at the same location together. In the early going, it really feels like it's Grace's game with just Leon here and there. The second half of the game, Leon takes over. And by the end of the game, I felt like it was pretty much split 50-50 between the two of them. I thought it was pretty even by the end. But they do go in spurts. Like at the beginning, Grace has like a 2 or 3 hour chunk where she is basically just going through a Resident Evil mansion. Which is one thing I do think they've done a great job with in this game, is making stuff for fans. Like, you want to go through a mansion. And like you said earlier, Matt, she's the one that handles putting all the crests into the slots and all that kind of stuff. And then after she works her way through this mansion, which is actually a hotel, once she does, then Leon shows up after she's already kind of finished the whole hotel, so to speak. And then later on, there's another place I'm not going to spoil. That's a mansion, basically, that you have to play through. So this is the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, and it does feel like this game does a pretty good job of kind of celebrating that. Like, and I don't want to spoil too much. The last act of the game, big time. They celebrate the 30th anniversary, and it's really cool how they handle it. So while there's tons of plot holes, the plot is good enough to kind of keep you going and keep you interested. Now, as far as like the gameplay is concerned, the entire game is linear, like 100%. Like, you do this, then you have to go here and do this, and you have to do this. Later on in the game, there is one section of the game that looks like it was pulled from the open world version of this game. And it is kind of one of the more boring parts of the game, and so I do think Capcom made the right decision to kind of ditch that concept for Resident Evil. But for the most part, it's your typical Resident Evil. Go here, get this thing, go put it in the slot, open the door to a bunch of new areas. Oh, there's another slot. You need to put something in. Where do I find that? You go find it, bring it back. It's just rinse and repeat. It's Resident Evil 3 on steroids, and that there's like 4 or 5 different Mr. X's in this. And in fact,
you're always being chased by something.
Yeah,
Grace.
You are. And the AI of that is, I think, tuned pretty well. And in fact, I would say the difficulty in this game is tuned pretty well in general.
Yeah, I would say they're the least annoying pursuers in the series.
As far as the weapons are concerned, there's like 3 different versions of every weapon, and it has all the tropes. It has a handgun, shotgun, submachine gun, assault rifle, blah, blah, blah. And each one of those can be upgraded several times. And the upgrades in this are like Call of Duty. It's like you get a gun, and then you go to like the screen, and there's like 5 or 6 attachments you can snap onto each one of those. And then each attachment you can raise up to 2 levels. But that's a big part of the game. And another big part of the game that I was surprised by, Matt, is the crafting in this. Like, it's a way bigger deal. So Grace, she only gets like 2 pistols throughout the course of the game, and she is. So you have to be more careful. You have to run a lot more and run away. You don't get a ton of ammo or whatever. But eventually, you start crafting, and you can craft these injectable things that you can literally one-hit kill zombies with. All you have to do is get behind them, like you're going to stealth kill them, and hit them with the injectable, and they explode into blood and jibs. And even the big, like, Mr. X enemies in this, you can kill with those. Now, they may take 2 or 3 of them to kill them, but you can kill them with them. And they're so cheap to craft. The bottom line is it kind of breaks the game. All I know is I had like 10 of them at all times, and I could just walk up behind every zombie and kill them with one shot. The other thing about this game is that you can choose to play in first or third person whenever you want. Now, I played Grace in first person and Leon in third person. What did you do, Matt?
I played Grace in third and Leon in third.
Both in third?
Resident Evil's a third person game to me.
So the chainsaw isn't that big of a deal, but Leon's other stuff is a big deal. So he can counter if you tap L1 on the PlayStation controller when they attack, And it's different for every enemy, what he does. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the death scenes in Resident Evil.
Yeah.
How they just have these really awesome death scenes, and half the fun is like dying on purpose so that you can see the death
there's a
scene.
lot of different ways. Like, it took me a while to get the hang of that parry move.
Me too.
And so I died to the chainsaw doctor like a few times.
Yeah.
And every one was different.
Yeah.
Like, it never repeat. I mean, I'm sure there's like only a limited number, but like I saw 4 or 5 different ones all in a row.
Some of the deaths in this are insane.
Yeah.
Like, just in general, the look and the graphics in this are just awesome. Like, definitely one of the best looking games on the market. Now, it does cheat a little bit because there's only one section that's kind of open-ish. So it's all like corridors and things like that. Who cares? This game looks incredible. Pretty much every element of it. But anyway, back to Leon. So he has this ability to parry and block enemy attacks, but he also has an axe.
Including rockets.
Right.
You can just about anything that's a physical object, you can parry.
It's really crazy. But he also has an axe. And the axe is probably one of the worst gameplay elements in this. It is just so awkward to use. And it takes forever to kill even a rank and file zombie with
it really
the axe.
Doesn't do the damage you'd think like a hatchet would do.
Yeah, it also takes like 5 headshots to kill a rank and file zombie in this. Because what basically the gameplay in this is shoot the zombie, stagger him, run up, kick him, push him down or whatever, then run up to him while they're laying on the ground and put rounds in their head. That's pretty much the same thing you do over and over in this, except for Grace isn't strong enough to push down all the enemies. So sometimes they'll just take a couple steps back, but that's kind of the loop of it all.
Yeah, I mean, you get basically, with Grace, you're sort of, it's usually better to just run around and lure them places and keep them out of your way and kind of do what you need to do. Leon is sort of, we've all played Resident Evil 4. You shoot them in the knee, they kneel down, you hit the melee roundhouse kick or whatever, and then you use the axe to finish them off. Like the thing is, like, the axe is good for finishers. It's terrible for just straight up like running up
trying
and
to
hitting
kill
them.
somebody.
Like normal melee with the axe, you're just wasting the durability of the axe.
It's almost comical how many times you have to attack someone with the axe to kill them. It's like literally like 25 times. So that was one part of the game that I didn't think worked out that well, but otherwise, as far as like if you've been playing Resident Evil for the last couple entries, you know the pattern. Like Matt said, shoot them in the knee, they go down, run up, roundhouse kick them, and then finish them off. This game needs stuff, though, at this point. Like, it needs a juke. Like, it's ridiculous that you get caught by zombies in this when you should never be getting caught by these zombies. Like, you should be able to juke them. Like, I mean, I can juke a human. Like, I can definitely juke a freaking zombie. There's lots of moments where zombies are walking on the stairs, and you can't do anything. Yeah. They should be so easy to just kick them and just watch them roll down the stairs.
Even Grace should be able to handle that.
Right.
It's like you're off balance already, and they can't walk very straight.
How about this mechanic, where you go around and you stab the ground with a needle to absorb blood that you use for crafting? We already talked about the graphics. You've been watching the B-roll. You know, it's one of the best looking games on the market. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't matter whether you're playing it in 1080p, 4K, 2K. This game looks sick. It really does. Generally, the audio in this is freaking killer. As far as like the lightning and thunder, the sound effects, the sounds of the zombies, the voice work. Grace, at first, is amazing. The voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
But over the course
her reaction
of the game,
in the flashback with her mother is some of the best voice acting I've heard in years.
The way she can make her breathing stutter and stuff like that, like, it is amazing. For the first hour, I was blown away by Grace, and then over the course of the game, you realize the voice actor is kind of a one-trick pony. Like, every time Grace goes to say...
the character is kind of a one-trick pony.
Every time Grace goes to say something, she stutters at the beginning. I didn't blah, blah, blah. She does that with every freaking line.
And that's the voice director to me. So remember, she's afraid of everything. It's like, but she should, you got to let the character develop.
I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what you're talking about. Over and over and over again. Like, and again, at the beginning, and I was like, this girl's going to win an award.
And it's every time she meets a new character. And it's just like, talk to the person.
Yeah.
Like I know it's weird. But like after a certain point, you can only fall down the bottomless pit for like so many hours before you stop screaming. Like,
her panic attacks are great, though, man.
Oh yeah, the actress is very, very good.
So she's great. Leon's Leon. He's always the same in pretty much every game. The music is excellent, but just walking around in like the mansion or the hotel in this and hearing like the big Mr. X style things walking around, you can hear the spatial place of where they are in the building, which is just amazing. The one thing I would say in general about this game, it is a good game. Like, you know, I'm sitting here criticizing it a good bit, mostly the plot. It is a good game, and I enjoyed playing it all the way through. The plot was good enough to get me all the way through. And I will say this, the ending, they kind of stick the landing. The last act is a great homage to Resident Evil, and fans will just be gobbling it up. They'll be like, oh, wow, like, they did some really smart, cool things with it.
And
so
you do, after the whole, when she turns her report in, you get a 60-page document that covers the entire story and plotline of the Resident Evil series from game 1 to today, which is nice to have Capcom sort of codify as like, this is what we think the story is.
So, look, I really like this game. It's not my favorite Resident Evil. Resident Evil 4 is still the best Resident Evil game.
4 is still number one for sure. I mean, I like it. I like the Leon stuff so much more than the Gray stuff that there's a problem there, basically.
I like that there was a switch.
I don't. I would rather it be one or the other.
Okay.
In part because that way, if you make a Leon game, I can play it, and if you make a horror game, I can ignore it.
Fair enough.
I just don't particularly like that style of game. Certainly not anymore.
I finished this game in like 13 hours, 14 hours, something like that. And so for $70, I beat it in like a day and a half, basically.
Yeah, but it's Resident Evil, so you're supposed to play it again.
I had a good time with this. Definitely not as good a time, I think, as this Metacritic might hint at, but it's a very well-crafted game. Definitely legitimate scares in this, for me anyway. I know you don't really get scared playing games.
Not really.
But there's definitely unnerving moments.
Actually, the biggest jump I had is when early on one of the transitions to the new place and they suddenly throw the giant white text up with a big thunk on the subwoofer. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's hilarious. But for me, I do get scared in movies and games and stuff. And the scare quotient in this is pretty high, I think, if people are affected by this
it doesn't scare me, but I see... Like, it's
definitely unsettling.
I appreciate it. Like, the artistry is there. It's not, a lot of it's not telegraphed in a dumb way. Like the monsters look good and look like they are things that if they popped up in front of you in real life, you would lose your fucking mind. Like, absolutely.
For sure. So it looks good, sounds amazing, plays pretty well. I think really its biggest weakness is the plot.
Experience the realm of extraordinary audio with Soundwizardry. With a decade-long journey in sound design, we animate your movies and video games with the breath of sound. Our wide-ranging services include sound design, Foley, sound mixing and mastering, audio implementation, dialogue mastering, and the crafting of unique sound effects from freshly recorded material. Our portfolio contains Baldur's Gate 3, Steven Universe, Alan Wake 2, Gwent, Cyberpunk 2077, and more. Visit soundwizardry.com and let us transmute your vision into an auditory marvel.
We're going to talk next about probably the biggest debut of the week, and that is Pokemon Winds and Waves.
Is it Winds or Wind?
Winds and Waves, I believe.
Winds?
Yeah, I think so.
That's weird.
It is. I mean, here's the thing, Matt. Like, this whole thing was spoiled, basically. Like, because of that...
we knew this name before, right?
We knew the name. We knew pretty much... They haven't even really revealed hardly anything about this yet, officially from Nintendo. But here's the thing, Matt. Everything that leaked out in that Giga Leak, or whatever the heck it was called, appeared in this trailer. So my guess is everything else that was in that Giga Leak is also going to end up being accurate.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon is such a big game. It's like once all this stuff was revealed to the public, there's just no way you can turn the Titanic away from the iceberg. Like, you just can't all of a sudden be like, oh, I guess it's not open world anymore because people know it's open world already. Like, no. It ended up being pretty much exactly what the leak said it was going to be. So it is an open world game, which isn't that big of a deal because Scarlet was pretty much open world as well.
They've been like kind of edging in that direction for a while.
Yeah. And this one, based on this trailer anyway, looks like it is legit open world. So
it's always a little weird to be reminded that Pikachu has fur.
It is, yeah, because only certain games can actually show
certain games actually show that. The anime never really showed fur. You just don't really think about it.
Yep. And so this is an open world game, like the leak suggested. They revealed the 3 starters, which was the only new information, I think, that was not already out there. And then it also, the setting for this, even though, again, they didn't share exactly what it's called, it does look like it's set in a collection of islands, an archipelago, in Southeast Asia, which people hinted at. The other thing that we knew about before this trailer was released was that there's supposed to be some sort of underwater gameplay. The last shot in this trailer seems to hint that you're going to go underwater and play underwater. The other thing we knew about before this trailer was that there's supposed to be weather effects and things you have to deal with. It looks like the wind and stuff like that is
and perhaps the waves.
And the waves. They show like a lighthouse in this and a windmill in this with the windmill moving to intimate that the wind's actually there or whatever. So it does feel like, unfortunately, one of the biggest game reveals of 2026 ultimately was kind of ruined quite a while ago. But we're looking at the game, which is a big deal. And I was very nervous that this game was going to be ugly because pretty much the last 4 or 5 Pokemon games have been. And while this still isn't quite up to scratch with what you would expect in 2026, it is a pretty big step forward.
Yeah, for Pokemon, it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the best looking Pokemon game.
Certainly the environments are.
Yeah.
The characters are still kind of where they were.
Yep.
The ocean looks great.
It does. The waves and everything. Let's talk about the starters. There's Bean Chick Pokemon called Brout, which is a grass type. There's a puppy Pokemon called Pombon, which is a fire type. And there's a water gecko Pokemon called Geoqua? Geoqua? Geoqua?
Geoqua? I guess. Yeah.
And of course, that's a water type.
Right.
So those are the 3 types. Which one do you think you're going to pick, Matt?
I don't care.
Really?
I don't like any of them, really.
Yeah, none of the 3 really stood out for me.
I will pick probably whatever and use other ones I catch.
Well, my starter ends up most times becoming my house wrecker.
That's usually how starters turn out. I probably would not pick the gecko.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I hate geckos.
I don't hate geckos.
I
like geckos. I just don't care about. I just don't particularly like the design of this one.
Also, they did mention something about Pokemon and ecosystems in this. That like the Pokemon have created their own ecosystems within each region in the game.
Ecosystem implies to me that there's some kind of food chain, which would be a different...
Are they going to take that step? Pokemon eating each other? But ultimately, it's, this is another case where leaks kind of ruined everything, and...
I don't know. I barely remembered that they...
Oh, really? I had just done something like a month ago about it, so I kind of remembered like all the stuff. So there wasn't really that much new in this for me, unfortunately. But at the same time...
I mean, the point is to see it.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, I'm happy with what I'm seeing here. So
I was mostly surprised that it's not till next year.
Yep, and it's Switch 2 only.
Yeah.
It's not coming to Switch 1.
That is bold.
That's a big deal. That's the only reason why it looks so good, would be my guess.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't run on Switch 1, sadly. Next, we're going to talk about probably what most people played this week before Resident Evil came out, or even while Resident Evil was in the rotation like me, and that is Marathon, Bungie's brand new extraction shooter. Matt, did you get a chance to play this, the server slam this week?
No.
I did. Now,
maybe that's why it dropped off, because Resident Evil came out.
Probably. That'd be my guess.
That was a day later, right?
Yeah. So we talked in the show Open about how it did pretty well on Steam. I think people in chat went and confirmed it had 140K concurrence max, which is pretty good. But then it had a huge drop off after that, and I can see why. I played this game. I think I probably spent 4 or 5 hours, something like that, playing it. The first thing I am going to say, Matt, is that this game is stunning. There is no game that looks like it. While you're playing it, it doesn't wear off. At least in the 5 hours that I played it, it didn't wear off. But it's also a double-edged sword, because it's very hard to like read the game itself. It all kind of blends together in kind of this day glow.
Yeah, I was gonna say in the clips I've seen, it's very hard to tell that something is another player and not just part of the scenery.
The world.
Yeah.
Because everything is day glow colored, like the grass, the sky, like everything. And so it does kind of blend together, but man, like when you do reach certain parts of the game, like, there's no other game that looks like this. And it does run amazing. Like, it just blazes by. So, technically, I think this game is up to scratch. Now, one thing I will say, Matt, is I really do not understand the aesthetic of this game. What does a moth crawling across a porcelain mask have to do with an extraction shooter?
Well, it indicates to me that whoever did all this really liked Aeon Flux.
I mean...
I don't know. It's just sort of weird for the sake of weird, and I admit that, like, at least it stands out because of that. You got to do something to get people... I mean, this is the kind of visual attention grab that Highguard needed, and it didn't have it.
Didn't have it. Yeah, for sure.
So, and again, I mean, I'm an old Marathon fan from back, the original Marathons from the old Mac, and I don't know what this has to do with anything. I mean, it's on Tau Ceti, like the Tau Ceti connection. There's
Tau Ceti 4.
There's some symbology connections. There's like the SIFTD and some of the aliens are there, but it doesn't seem to have anything to do with Marathon outside of like, sure, we'll call it Marathon and throw some of these elements in.
Yeah. So all
which
this
is
stuff
fine. I don't expect Marathon to ever come back again. It's fine.
Yeah.
But like, it's just okay.
all the weird art that you've seen in the trailers, like, it's in the game. The UI has the moth crawling across the porcelain mask, and these weird. It's like a seizure machine. This game, like, if you have problems with strobing lights and flashing colors and stuff like that, do not touch this game.
Kind of makes me think of Qzar.
A little bit.
With all the black light day glow.
Seriously, that's an interesting comparison there. So there is some kind of a setup to this, though I will say that, like, it was hard for me to find the actual plot in this. There are references here and there to some other stuff, but there's no, like, cut scenes where the plot is moved forward. It's really not Destiny, I guess is what I'm getting at. Basically, the setup for the game is that you are sent to this planet to scavenge the ruins of a long-lost human colony in an area called New Cascadia. And there's an evil megacorp called Cyber Acme that's running all this thing, and basically you're a runner or a bounty hunter. It's your job to go into this left-behind world and scavenge all the crap out of it, and then extract it and give it to this megacorp. That's pretty much the setup. Like, you're an AI, you're not actually, like, a person. And so when you die, you just basically go back into the machine and get regenerated back out into the world again. Of course, it's an extraction shooter, so you're not really, like, respawning, so to speak. But that's kind of
weirdly similar to that other extraction shooter thing where everybody's a clone of themselves.
Yeah.
That I can't remember the name of.
Well, this also has a lot of similarities with Arc Raiders. So, like, the enemies in this are all robots. Of course, other players as well, and they are the real enemies. I'll get to that in a second. But the enemies that Bungie put in the game are these robots. And my first mission, Matt, I went into a building. I started sorting through stuff. It's a loot shooter extraction game. But the game is very hard to tell what stuff has any value to it. Like, I'm sure there's, like, legendary color coding eventually, so it's easy to see by the colors. But when you first start playing this, everything is, like, low rank. And so you go into a room and you're scavenging. I had no idea what I should take at all. And the game does a horrible job of messaging that to you. But anyway, I go into the first room. I'm scavenging around. I grab everything like a moron and fill up my inventory. I run outside. I run 30 feet and a robot kills me. 30 feet! I was like, okay. So I rebooted it, started it again, was very scared to go outside this time, like, made sure that I checked before I ran outside this time. I survived like 2 minutes before I there's the enemies, I'm going to go fight them. Oh, that was a mistake. The time to kill in this game is extremely short, like way shorter than Call of Duty, if you can believe that. Literally, whoever shoots first wins pretty much every face-off in this. There's no juking and diving and getting out of the way and surviving after getting hit with a couple bullets. If you get shot, you pretty much die. And the game, at least what I played...
Sure isn't what the trailers want you to think.
Yeah. Well, the game that I played was squads of 3. So you go out with 2 other players, and I'll say this, like, most of the people I played with were great. Like, they were awesome. They were very helpful. They were trying to show me things. They were reviving each other. Like, I was pleasantly surprised by the community that I interacted with while I'm playing this. But then you have to start dealing with the other humans that are in the game. Look, it's an extraction shooter. I understand certain people really like this. I am not a fan of extraction shooters. I was not a fan of Helldivers. I was not a fan of Arc Raiders. Both those games are huge. So I'm probably the last person that should be giving you their opinion on extraction shooters, unless you're like me and you haven't really resonated with one yet, because I think that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the one where it clicks and it makes sense. What I've played of Marathon so far, it does not feel like this is the one. It's hard to learn because the game does a terrible job of onboarding, and you die so fast that it's also hard to learn while you're playing the game. Like, it took me 3 matches to get to level 2 because I would just die instantly and just have to go and start another match. So it took me 3 matches just to get to level 2. I don't know who this is trying to appeal to, because, Matt, you said the bounce-off rate for this was extremely high. I know why. Because the same thing...
They were down to like 9,000 players in the last day.
Yeah, because the same thing happened to them that happened to me. You're alive for like 20 seconds, and some jackhole shows up and shoots you in the back, and you're dead, and it's over. And one thing I will say that this game does to try to mitigate that disappointment a little bit is you have this cache of things that you can protect. So you put them in this folder, basically, and if you die, you will still have access to that stuff for the next match. That is one thing that it does that I was like, okay, this can maybe help you get it over the hump. Otherwise, I played this for a handful of hours and I was like, I get it, and I still don't get it. I'm not a cutthroat guy. I'm not like that. So the whole aesthetic and ideal behind extraction shooters are like oil and water to me. Like, I don't want to just show up and take someone's stuff who just spent 30 minutes gathering it and I just showed up with a more powerful gun and killed him and took it. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to play in games with other people that are like that. So that's why, for me, extraction shooters have just never clicked. I don't like being a jerk. I have not seen anything in Marathon, and again, I played a handful of hours, but I have not seen anything in Marathon that changes my perspective on this subgenre in any significant way. And the other problem I have with this, Matt, is like, how do they think they're going to pull people away from Arc Raiders to play this, other than the art style?
I mean, I think the game began development long before Arc Raiders was a thing. That's the answer to that.
Well, the one thing I will say, Matt,
somebody beat them to it, basically.
Yeah. The gunplay in this is great.
That's Bungie.
What is it? How does Bungie have such great gunplay in every game? What is it doing? Why can nobody else figure it out? Like, I played High on Life 2. We reviewed that in last week's show. The gunplay in that was abysmal. How can Bungie always nail it, but these other studios can't?
One of those weird studio culture things, or maybe they've just had the same people that are really good at that forever.
Or there's some piece of code that they have that they just keep inserting into their games for their guns. I don't know, but
because it's true that nothing quite feels like a Bungie shooter.
This game's got it, man, and that is its one saving.
You can kind of tell looking at the footage, really.
The guns feel great, like they just do, like every one of them, like the way they kick and the feedback and the controller and the sound. It's just, if you like Bungie gunplay, you're going to like the gunplay in this. I can promise you that. And that is definitely its best trait. But again, I don't think that's enough to pull people away from Arc Raiders. I just don't. It's also just very similar. You're going out with a couple dudes and you're shooting robots.
Mm-hmm. And you're just, Arc Raiders players are already invested.
Yeah, with money. More important than anything, they've already put money into the game. They have skin in the game. So I was pleasantly surprised by this game in some ways and disappointed in others. There's like 7 different classes. There was 5 that were unlocked in the server slam. And I played with maybe 3 different ones, and they are the typical archetypes. You got like your typical healing, you got your brute, you got your scout, recon, blah, blah, blah. So they look different, but they do sort of serve all the same purpose, which I think is probably smart for any game like this. So people, at least there's something about it that you can jump in and understand right away. I'm struggling to figure out where the market is for this game. I mean, there is one, but they're all playing a game already that's not that old, and to your point, they're already invested in financially and emotionally.
That translates to there is no market for this game.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about Monster Hunter Stories 3, a turn-based RPG from Capcom.
Is this out already?
What do you say?
Is this out already?
No, it's not.
Okay.
There's a big demo up.
I was going to say, did I miss this one?
And this also has a huge demo. So what was it? It was Neo 3 that had a big demo. This game has a big demo right now that anybody can download and play. So if you want to play it for yourself, please do. I played the demo all the way through, and it really does show off pretty much every element of the game. So I want to share it with you guys here today. So I said, it's a spin-off of the Monster Hunter franchise. The big difference here is that instead of being an action RPG where you go out into an open world and fight enemies that you just come across, this is a much more controlled turn-based RPG. The first 2 games were, in some form, Switch exclusives. The first one was actually not Switch, a 3DS exclusive. And then eventually it got released for other platforms. The second one was a Switch time exclusive, and eventually it was released for other platforms. This game is coming day 1 to every platform. So there's no window of exclusivity for Nintendo on this one. And consequently, this game does feel like it's aged up a little bit compared to the first 2, at least in tone and plot. The setup for this, you're seeing it. There's 2 kingdoms that have been allies for a very long time, but suddenly this crystalline blight comes to the world, and it's basically made the 2 territories start looking at each other kind of with the side eye, like wondering, like, can you help us with this? Is this your fault? So that's sort of the intrigue. You play as the prince of one of the kingdoms, and you're in this group called the Rangers. And typically the Rangers are what you're seeing here. Like, this is the protagonist's mom, the queen, right here. And typically the Rangers are scientists. They study the monsties. I know you hate that word.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe because it's aged up a bit.
Nope, no, they still use it in this. But they study these monsties, which are basically Pokemon, for lack of a better way to describe them. And they're usually the scientists in their kingdom. However, with this new issue that's popped up with this other territory, suddenly the Rangers are the ones who may actually have to get in the war and fight.
That's pretty. Pulling cloth off something is not an easy.
It's not
trick. So
it's
they're
not at all.
showing off a little bit.
Oh,
there.
this game is definitely a step above presentation-wise the other games in the franchise. No doubt about it. So what kind of sets off the plot in this is what you're seeing right now. They find an egg, and it hatches a Rathalos. There has not been a Rathalos in the kingdom for like 200 years or something like that.
Even though there's a Rathalos in every one of the
Yeah.
the Rathalos is the main
It's one of the most
monster.
common
It's
monsters.
the main monstie in all these games,
It is.
all three of these games.
Yep. Well, in this one, there hasn't been one for like 100 years. And the last time there was one, it brought all this death and
Now
destruction.
there are two of them.
Right. And that this is what sets it off, is they're like, oh my God, for the first time ever, one egg with two Rathalos. So they think that this is a sign from the gods or whatever. Now, the thing is like the cleric tells you that you can't have two. You can only have one. And so you need to kill the other one. And so the mom, the queen...
Well, that ain't happening.
The queen, I think I figured out. The queen took the second one and ran away. And you are the only one who can ride it. And so you are now the head of the Rangers because you're the one who has tamed the Rathalos and can use the Rathalos. But also it means...
I love the idea that like so you're the head of the cops because you're the only one who knows how to drive.
Pretty much. That's a good way of... Well, the other people can fly. They can't fly a Rathalos.
You're the guy in Avatar. On the big man.
Yeah.
The big banshee.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. And so the whole game is basically centered around you trying to keep the war from happening. But anyway, that's the basic setup of the plot. There's a bunch of different layers that come into it, but that's kind of the basic setup of it.
I love that somebody would name the kingdom Masuria. It's like, what should we name our kingdom? Kind of blue.
Yeah.
You know?
The other one is called Vermeil, like the old
So
coach
just-
of the Eagles and the Rams,
Well,
Dick
that's-
Vermeil. And you can go out into these open areas. You can fight creatures. You can gather crafting resources. You can steal eggs. Because like the other two games, another big element of this is finding eggs and then taking them back to your hatchery and then hatching them. And once you hatch them, then you can breed them together and come up with new combinations.
And
But
this is unrelated to the other, like this standalone story.
yes, it's not continuous from the other games at all. It's its own standalone thing. And there's a new element in the Monstie breeding as well, where you can actually set them loose back out into the environment, and they will repopulate the area with that Monstie, and then they will reproduce and produce stronger versions of that monster.
Yeah, get out there and fuck, my,
Pretty much.
my young lad.
And then make me a better
Make
Monstie.
me a stronger Monstie.
Yep. The big thing about this, Matt, and you know, because you play the first two games, is the combat system. So it's turn-based, but it has all these insane, like, little nuances to it. It's not just, like, taking turns attacking. First of all, you have 3 kinds of attacks, and this is in the first two games. There's power, speed, and technical. And basically, it's like rock, paper, scissors. Like, one is more powerful than the other, which is more powerful than the other. And it doesn't matter that much, except... if you and an enemy both target each other at the same time, it creates a head-to-head like you're seeing right now. And then whatever attack you chose between those 3, that's who wins the face-off and gives that character the initiative. Also, as you're in the turn-based combat and you're choosing each attack, you can choose whether that attack is going to be one of those 3 different types. So a lot of it is like learning the enemies, having fought an enemy before, you can figure out what attacks they generally use. So I will say... it seems like they switch it up a little bit more in this one. Like, it's not always the same. The first 2 games, Matt, I don't know if you remember or not, but after, like, the first, 15 hours, you just kind of walk through the game.
Yeah, they were not super challenging.
They just weren't well balanced either, and they were made for kids, I think. But again, I think the tweaks have been made to the combat system to appeal to older players. Another element of the combat is choosing body parts to attack. That is very important because you can disable certain abilities on enemies. If they have like a cannon on their right arm, you can attack the right arm and take out their best attack. Eventually, you also get these enemies that have like crystals on them that have been taken over by the Blight. And you need to attack and bust those crystals off of them before you attack the other stuff. So targeting stuff in this, also more important than it was in the first 2 games. And there's a bunch of other stuff. There's double attacks, there's kinship attacks, where if you and someone in your party member both mount your monsties at the same time, your monstie does this crazy, awesome spectacle attack. There's also like supers that you can perform where everybody on the team joins together and it does this crazy over-the-top Final Fantasy VII style summon type attack. The other thing too is you have abilities, which are basically your spells, but they take your stamina. And a big part of the game, in order to perform one of those big finishing attacks, you need to stagger the enemy. So you need to topple them. The way you topple them is by using your magic attacks. So while it is governed by stamina and you can't just spam them, you do need to make sure you're using a bunch of those so you can whittle down the enemy stamina meter to topple them and then ultimately perform your super on them. And then there's also a whole elemental part in the combat system with fire, lightning, and water. And every attack you can kind of choose whether you want to imbue them with elements. And then all your spells have at least one type of elemental attachment to it. And that's a big part of it too, figuring out, which element to use against the enemies. And all of that is like fighting the enemies first to figure out what they're weak against and then remembering that and making sure to use that against them in the future. And then out in the open environment, like you ride your Monstie. It's like basically your mount, and the Monstie can do stuff out there. It can breathe fire. Like one thing that they showed you is like shooting a fireball into a tree and knocking all of these things out of the tree that you can collect for crafting. And then there's like strategy with the monsters as well. Like sometimes you don't want to kill the monster, you want to just maim it. And I know that sounds horrible. So it will limp back to its lair. Because once you get back to the lair, then you can steal its eggs that you can then use to take back to base and hatch them and breed them. And
a little bit more like the main series there.
Yeah.
Tormenting animals to destroy their next
that
generation.
main theme is still there, unfortunately. I had a good time with it. It's a gorgeous game. It basically got the full-on AAA Capcom treatment, finally. But, the cutscenes in this, the cinematics, way beyond what we got in the first two games, although the second game was starting to inch that way. This is, I think, what we're going to see from this franchise probably into the future. We're going to talk about another confounding decision by PlayStation. It was shared this week by a reliable source that PlayStation right now is considering cutting all its single-player games from PC. Now, to be fair, usually its single-player games have a pretty healthy delay from when they come out on PlayStation 5 before they finally come out on PC. Its multiplayer games, however, are basically coming out day and date on other platforms.
Yeah, you want critical mass on those.
Like Marathon coming out for PS5, PC, and Xbox, which is crazy, on day one. But the single-player games, usually there is a delay. It started out like 18 months. It's gotten much shorter over the last year and a half or 2 years or so. Matt, why do you think PlayStation would change its stance on this after kind of creating this user base and fan base on PC?
I don't really know. Clearly the sales on PC are not remotely close to what they get on the PlayStation. So maybe they just hit a point where they just don't think it's worth it anymore. Because they have had some issues with the ports, and the Horizons launched pretty rough and had to be fixed pretty hard.
Sony may care about that too, about it tarnishing the brand. PlayStation cares about that kind of stuff way more than most other publishers.
Yeah, and I don't know. Spider-Man 2 wasn't as well received as the first one. It'd be a shame to never get Wolverine on PC because
so that's what the source is saying is Wolverine's going to be the first one, where they're this new strategy. Whatever PlayStation is calling it is going to come into effect, and Wolverine will never be released for PC. Or if it does, way on down the road and not within 6 months, a year, 18 months.
Yeah. Or maybe Marvel saw the mods people were putting in the Spider-Man games and were we're going to stop doing that.
On PC?
Because
that's actually that could be part of it. Because
throwing naked Peter Parker mods in there is probably not something Marvel wants to see happen.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Or his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So that could be part of it, but a lot of these games are not Marvel games. They're, The Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. Generally pretty much PlayStation's entire first-party lineup eventually was coming to PC. Yeah. What do you think was Sony's objective in releasing its games for PC? Was it to make more money, or was it to turn new audiences onto its games, hoping that those people would then buy a PlayStation? I
think the goal is always more money.
Yeah. Well, the other one would eventually get you more money, I guess.
Right. But somewhat, but I think the point is you certainly the original idea, and it lines up with the delay between them, is you get what your sales you're going to get out of the console version, and then you might as well get extra sales out of a different market. And I guess that's not enough for them.
I am curious what PlayStation's expectations were for these games, because everybody knows that console games generally don't sell that well on PC.
Yeah, the sales are becoming more even. They're back in the day, back in the late aughts, early 2010s. The thought was that you basically you're going to sell 3 times as much on each console as you would on PC. Mm-hmm. So the PC version was sort of an afterthought. Yeah, that has become more and more on parity with each other. PC, both in terms of I think PC selling more and console selling less. But I don't know what Sony's metric for this would be. I don't know if you can really judge this until you release a Naughty Dog game in this system and see what happens. Like if you.
I mean, The Last of Us is on PC,
right? But it wasn't like in that era.
That's true.
It was too far after.
Yeah.
Like I think you need to see what Intergalactic does.
Yeah.
Really, to really judge this.
Matt, how much of this at all, if at all, do you think is because the next Xbox is going to be a PC, and then ultimately you could play PlayStation's exclusives on an Xbox? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I think it might. Like Sony is that petty. And
seriously,
weird about
it
this
really
stuff.
is. Yeah.
I think that could be part of it.
I really think so too.
Also, I think it might be that because Xbox has pivoted away from sort of the play everything on Game Pass thing, maybe Sony doesn't feel the pressure to put stuff on other platforms anymore. So it might be, I'd say, like a combination of those two things is
the lack of competition.
Like the lack of competition plus putting your games technically on the competition would maybe be enough to get Sony to back off of this idea.
I wish I could see sales numbers for these games.
I would be nice, but you're going to have to break into
That's
Sony.
Never going to happen. Never going to share. If they were gigantic, they might share them, but then they might not, because they may be like, well, we don't want to say that we're selling almost as many on PC as we are on PS5.
You don't need a PlayStation anymore.
It's hilarious that you'd almost be embarrassed of your success.
Yeah.
Up next, we're going to stay in Sony land, in PlayStation land, but really in 2026, that just means we're staying in video game land, because at this point, PlayStation's kind of the only game in town, and we got some other information to follow up on a story that we tackled in last week's GameFace, where we talked about how PlayStation shut down Blue Point Games, even though it had already done a remake of Demon's Souls, and everybody on the planet was begging for a remake of Bloodborne. Well, this week, why do you think this news came out, Matt?
Yeah, my guess is that they want to do it themselves, because I have heard that they are not super fans of the Demon's Souls remake.
That's crazy.
Well, they changed a lot of things in that some of the fans don't like it either.
Huh.
It's not a super uncommon opinion.
I had not heard that.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
you got to be pretty well embedded in the From fandom to know that, I would say. It's not super common outside of those circles, but... No, the Demon's Souls remake gets a pretty fair amount of heat from the hardcore From fans.
I thought it was great.
So did I, but they don't like it all that much.
Dang.
From what I've seen.
So what was the story with From? It was unhappy with what happened, and that was it?
I don't know. I'm not super clear on it. I don't know how true any of it is, because it's all just chatter, basically.
Yeah.
But basically, from what I understood, the remake kind of surprised them. Like they weren't consulted the way they wanted to be, or something like that.
Interesting.
I would argue that the game, what you play itself, is pretty unchanged.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the visual look is pretty different.
Well, Demon's Souls looked like ass when
it did. It did. Like I don't have an issue with the way the remake looks. I think it looks great. I think it's actually still probably one of the best looking games. Period.
Yeah, for PS5. Still
for anything. I would say. Like they did an amazing job.
I agree. That's why we're so shocked that they wouldn't have them do Bloodborne. Do you think maybe the bigger issue here is that From Software wants to do it itself?
Yeah, probably.
That's what it feels like to me.
Even if you didn't have a problem with the Demon's Souls remake, it feels like, okay, are you just going to let Bluepoint become the company that does all your games correctly the second time, sort of thing?
Right. But I do think that it probably is From Software. It's like, we're going to do that. Like, we're not going to let somebody else do it. We're going to do it. I just don't know when that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you figure they're probably working on Elden Ring 2 right now.
I'll tell you what, man. Like, if you want to launch the PlayStation 6 with that, that'll sell you some consoles.
Oh my gosh, it will bring the rafters down. Or a sequel, Bloodborne 2. Well, I think ultimately we probably owe Sony an apology, because we railed on them last week in the show over this when we didn't have the whole story.
I'm still going to rail on them for shutting Bluepoint down. Bloodborne remake or no Bloodborne
no, you're right.
remake. Like,
because
you're
we brought up other salient
teams.
points about all these other properties that are lying there that Bluepoint could have worked on. So some of our criticism was still valid.
And like EA is about to get shut down and probably sell off all its IPs in some kind of fire sale. So like you could probably get some cheap stuff there and have Bluepoint do you something cool with those. Like,
yeah. I mean, no matter what, getting rid of Bluepoint was stupid.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to talk about something that leaked out, unfortunately, about Sony Santa Monica's next game. And once again, Matt, it was a LinkedIn profile that gave it up. And
y'all got to make it clearer to each other what's secret and what isn't.
I don't understand how so much stuff keeps getting leaked on LinkedIn. Like, how do these people not know that they shouldn't do this? Well, here's the story. The story is that this person on LinkedIn shared that he was working on a God of War spin-off game at Sony Santa Monica that stars Kratos' wife, Faye. It doesn't star Kratos. And we just talked last week about how, we're friends with Corey Barlog on Facebook, and we definitely felt something different was coming. We didn't know exactly what that was, but we thought it was going to not just be a traditional God of War game, and as it turns out, that is going to be the case. Matt, how do you think this is going to go over with the fans?
I mean, probably. I think the normal people will be fine with it, and the weirdos will freak out that it's woke or whatever.
That it's a woman, and you're making...
I mean, there are people mad that, like, Grace's boobs aren't big enough
No.
in Resident Evil, and that's woke. People are out of their fucking
Because they think
minds,
every
man.
woman has gigantic boobs.
Or that every woman in a video game should be designed to turn on like a porn-addicted freak.
It felt like there was a little bit of pushback from the 2D version of this franchise. What's going to happen when it's a female that you're playing throughout the entire game?
Well, presumably you will... I would assume that something made by Sony Santa Monica is going to look and feel more like...
Oh, yeah. It'll look like
more
this.
Like God of War. I mean, it is a more... I mean, it's not like I dislike Kratos, but I'm kind of over it.
I'm done with it.
Like,
yeah.
Like I get it. Like, we did it.
He's done the full arc.
We're there.
And he was great. Like, watching him turn into a more sensitive, understanding person through Ragnarok, like, that's it. He's done. His redemption story's done.
Yeah,
like,
he's good. I'm happy with where it lays.
Yeah, seriously.
So kind of going into his, I would assume this would be some kind of a prequel, or possibly, I don't know. She is really dead, right?
I think so.
Yeah, like.
So it's got to be a prequel of some sort?
Yeah, prequel of maybe how I met your sad father kind of thing.
I mean, I honestly thought if they were going to stay in the God of War universe for Sony Santa Monica's next game, I thought Atreus would be the star.
That would be the natural thing, or like going to a different pantheon. And
right.
I know there's been a lot of like talk that like there's like Egyptian concept art floating around the Sony Santa Monica office. Maybe she's the one who's going to kill the Egyptian gods. And I'm kind of down with that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm down with Faye. Period.
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with a game where she's the lead protagonist. I have no problem with that at all.
Yeah, I like the games because of how Sony Santa Monica presents them and their sensibilities and how the gameplay works. I don't really care who I'm.
Not anymore.
I didn't actually enjoy playing as Atreus all that much.
You didn't?
In he wasn't as I like the power of Kratos, but I feel like Faye is just as strong.
Oh yeah,
in terms.
I liked how he supplemented Kratos. I didn't like when I played as him by himself.
Yeah,
but I liked when he was a sidekick and I could use him to shoot his arrows and stuff.
But when I had to play only as Atreus, I thought it dragged.
I agree.
A little bit.
Yeah, I did not. It didn't resonate with me. But that's not going to happen apparently, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to watch the reaction to this. This news is flying under the radar right now. For whatever reason, it's not being reported at a lot of places, and no one's really talking about it.
Well, it sounds like Nate the Hate was sort of like speculating to some degree on the idea of what it was actually being. It's just that Faye's name popped up in the thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's a decent assumption.
I mean, it's literally from LinkedIn. The guy wrote the stuff. The guy who used to work there. Like, there's really not much to interpret or anything like that. Like, he said it in his post, like, which was really dumb, but he did. In the next 6 months or so, my guess is this will probably be announced at Naughty 3 around that time period here in a few months. So we'll find out then.
And I'll be
people
stunned
know for sure.
if this is not going to have Kratos. I mean,
he'll be in there somehow.
It feels like the fact that this would be coming out around the same time as the remasters of the old game is like, okay, like here we're going to see how the bridge between the original, the old games and the new one, and how Kratos got his groove on, I guess. You know.
All right, our last topic for this week's episode is a short one, but something I thought we should get on the radar for everybody, and that is basically a new rock band / Guitar Hero is on the way, and it is a game called.
Wait. Which is it?
It's Rock Band.
Okay.
So it does have 4 instruments in it, and it is a game called Stage Tour. Now, this is made by the new Red Octane. You may remember Red Octane. It was around during the original Guitar Hero. It was mostly known for making the guitars.
They made the guitars, and I think they were involved in publishing early on or something.
Yep. And Red Octane has been brought back to life for this game. Now, I'll say this, too. This, I
mean, it's kind of good news because all my guitars don't work anymore, so...
They put out a new guitar for Fortnite.
Yeah.
And that guitar will work in this. Now, this game looks awful. I mean, the Guitar Hero Rock Band games always had kind of their own art style and always looked a little weird.
This lacks the fluidity.
It just looks terrible.
Of Rock Band.
It just looks so
also,
bad.
Harmonix took the time to, like, like the drummer was actually playing the song.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
that's not really
There's detail in
here.
it. And that's not happening here, for sure. Even the guitar players, they would try to mock, like, the frets.
Now, to be fair, no one's looking at that when they're playing the game. Like,
you're just looking at the track notes.
Yeah, you're looking at the notes and you're playing the game. It's all background noise.
Is this a good idea, Matt, to bring this back?
I don't know. I'll probably play it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do like it. And I keep thinking about hooking up the old stuff, but God, it's a pain.
It's such work. And I know what's going to happen is I'll pull everything out, and I'll be missing one little dongle or something.
And you'll go on, try to find it's like $200.
And I'll just put it all
and
back
then you
in the
won't
closet.
remember where your library. And like, wait, can I transfer the stuff from the Xbox One to the Xbox 3? Yeah.
Or, do I need to get out my old Xbox 360? Because one thing I've realized, Matt, is I did not transfer stuff from my Xbox 360 into the cloud.
I did transfer everything I could to the Xbox One.
I did not.
But I don't know how much of that translates to like the Rock Band 4, and then like the Rock Band 4 can't use the keyboard, which I really like. It all kind of unraveled at some point.
It doesn't feel like the revival of this in the biggest video game in the world, Fortnite, did anything. And so launching your own game that's dependent upon that 100% does not seem like
you're leaning real hard on people for nostalgia for about 20 years back, which is about the right target.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think the main problem is that you're going to be trying to sell people these fairly expensive plastic guitars in a time where people aren't going to be able to afford luxuries.
That's
like
another
that.
good point, actually. That's going to do it for GameFace episode 470 right here on Sifted at sifted.net. A final reminder that we're supported 100%, pretty much, at patreon.com/sifted. That's SIFTD. For just $5 a month, you get all our content early. You get this show several days early. You get Pactor Factor a week early. If you don't have any money and you can't help us that way, I totally get it. But you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can help us out by connecting that account with your Twitch account and helping us out with Twitch Prime. That gives us a free $2.50 every month. And you do have to re-up it every month, and it is a pain in the butt. But if you come back here and do it live on the show, we will thank you personally for doing it, which is awesome. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already connected your accounts, go down in the description below, and there's very simple step-by-step instructions. It literally takes like a minute and a half to connect your accounts, and then every month to give us that $2.50, it's 3 clicks, and that's it. All you gotta do is go to twitch.tv/siftedgames and just click the drop-down box there and choose at the bottom, free sub with Prime. And if you do that, you also get Pactor Factor day and date with our patrons at twitch.tv/siftedgames. You get it a week early, like everybody else who's giving us money. So that's a nice little incentive there. And then if you don't have Amazon Prime, you can still help us out. Like the show, ring the bell, leave a comment on the show, share the show on social media. All that stuff matters. It makes a difference for us and can really help us. We'd appreciate it very, very much. Let's see, next week, we got Game of the Year contender, Pokemon Pokopia, which I never would dream I'd ever say that sentence.
I'm really hoping I wasn't going to have to play that.
But, I mean, sounds like it might be awesome, so, yeah. We'll see. So anyway, we'll have another awesome show for you guys next week. That's just what we do here on GameFace. A big thanks to everybody in chat who showed up. You guys make the show better every week. We'll see you next Tuesday right here at twitch.tv/siftedgames and youtube.com/siftedgames. Until then, have yourselves an awesome week filled with awesome games. GameFace is up and out.